But the fact that the ratings from Caitlin Clark's series to these series fell off a cliff, it should surprise no one.
I'm watching the Indiana Fever game. I'm just waiting on Caitlin Clark to catch the basketball.
The paucity of viewers since Caitlin Clark's elimination from the playoffs has driven A.J. Wilson insane. She went for an interview and stated, "I've seen more people call my game boring this year than any other." I said, all right, that's cool, whatever. The paucity of viewers since Caitlin Clark's elimination from the playoffs has driven A.J. Wilson insane. If spectators don't care as much about the sport, A.J. Wilson would like to play with greater freedom. And when the fever was eradicated, that's precisely what she received. The postseason no longer held any interest for anyone. Because of Caitlin Clark, less people watched game after game while she sat at home and watched it all happen. She's going to chuckle at this mess, I think. No, they did not have the best playoff final. The New York Liberty vs. Minnesota Lynx final is about to begin. I'm not even sure what to call one member of each of those groups. Out of all the playoff games played thus far, the final is expected to get the lowest number of viewers. How on earth does the WNBA allow this to occur? It is evident that the WNBA is lost without Caitlin Clark. They made a sincere effort to refute the Caitlin effect and declared it non-existent. They are now becoming aware of it every second that passes. The WNBA is no longer entertaining to watch without Caitlin. It appears that Caitlin Clark will not be playing basketball for another 200 days. At the conclusion of the Indiana Fever Connecticut game, an ESPN reporter stated with almost certainty that Caitlin Clark would not be playing basketball this offseason. Thus, no traveling abroad and no unmatched 3-on-3. Throughout the WNBA season, Aja Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces have dominated the league. With Aja leading the way, many predicted the Aces would reach the championship game as they started the playoffs as one of the best teams. But things did not go according to plan in the semifinal matchup against New York Liberty. The WNBA community was shocked when the Liberty, spearheaded by a group of their own standout players, defeated the Aces with a powerful effort. In addition to ending the team's hopes for a championship, the Las Vegas Aces elimination also took one of the WNBA's top players out of the spotlight, which lessened the excitement surrounding the playoffs in general. The designation of unanimous MVP usually carries some expectations. Both observers and fans believe their team's MVP will guide them all the way to the postseason and possibly even a title. The elimination of Aja Wilson and the Aces not only hurt their hopes, but also removed a pivotal storyline for the postseason. Wilson wouldn't even get to play for the title. She was meant to be the player that everyone watched in the finals. Caitlin Clark is an attention-grabbing player. She is one of the most fascinating players to watch in the WNBA because of her mesmerizing style and ability to take charge of a game. But the playoffs lost a great deal of their allure when the Connecticut Sun knocked Clark's Indiana Fever from the postseason. Without Clark, the normal energy surrounding WNBA playoff games seemed to be absent, and many fans found the games to be less exciting, dramatic, and entertaining overall. There is more to the loss of a talent like Caitlin Clark in the playoffs than just it's the loss of a whole experienced player. Viewers, whether ardent basketball enthusiasts or casual viewers, are drawn in by Clark's distinct combination of talent and charisma. That magic vanished when she was eliminated, leaving the playoffs feeling lifeless and uninteresting. This was a serious setback for the WNBA. The playoffs are meant to be the season's high point when the top players perform and spectators are glued to their TVs. However, the playoffs became what many called a disaster and a misery without Clark. Since then, as you are aware, Angel Reese has injured me, and Caitlin Clark withdrew herself after the Olympics. She ought to have received majority approval. Let's now honor her. It's often forgotten that, despite being the most blitzed player in the WNBA, as a rookie, she managed to record 19 points, 5 assists, and 1 steal. Following Caitlin Clark's departure, the WNBA saw one of the biggest declines in viewership in its history. Suddenly, fans who had been enthusiastically watching the playoffs became uninterested. The figures are truthful. Upon Clark's elimination from the game, the audience size started to decline. It wasn't a progressive decrease, it was direct and concise, demonstrating how appealing Clark is to the league. Like any other professional sports league, the WNBA depends largely on viewership to be successful. Securing sponsorships, advertising contracts, and even broadcasting rights depend heavily on television ratings. The league's chances to develop and reach a wider audience diminish along with the decline in viewership. The sharp drop in viewership that followed Clark's elimination shows how crucial she is to the league's overall success. Caitlin Clark's performances during the playoffs were a major factor in the enthusiasm felt by many spectators. People were tuning in largely because of her ability to dominate a game and produce amazing plays that leave spectators in awe. The games just didn't hold the same allure when she left. The viewership figures showed that fans weren't as interested in watching teams without Clark. One cannot stress the significance of this deterioration. There had been a consistent upsurge in the WNBA in appeal, drawing in an increasing number of viewers for the games. But in Caitlin Clark's absence, the league saw a sharp dip in attendance, one that can have long-term ramifications if the league can't figure out a way to keep people interested in addition to depending on its top stars. Even though a variety of things can cause a dip in viewership, it is evident that Caitlin Clark's absence was the main cause of the sharp decline in attendance. Clark is a sensation rather than merely a player. Her ability to hold viewers' interest is unmatched, and the WNBA playoffs would have lost a large percentage of their viewership without her. It's critical to recognize the extent to which Clark influences the number of viewers. Fans are captivated by her remarkable abilities, her unwavering presence, and her leadership when she's on the court. Every game feels significant because of the way she does it, and viewers love it. Clark has an advantage over other players in the game because of her ability to score and her clutch plays in crucial situations. That draw vanished when she was eliminated. Suddenly, there was no reason for the fans who had been following Clark's playoff run to keep watching. Even though they were skilled, other players lacked the celebrity power to hold the attention of the audience. One of the biggest stars in the WNBA is Caitlin Clark, and the league is built on its stars. The playoffs lost a significant percentage of their viewership without her. Not only is Caitlin Clark among the top players in the WNBA, she represents the league. Her capacity to captivate audiences is unparalleled, and she has emerged as the focal point of the WNBA's endeavors to expand its viewership. Caitlin Clark is frequently the first player that springs to mind when people think of the WNBA, and with good reason. What fans find so endearing about Clark is her playing style. She plays with a flair and energy that are uncommon in elite sports. Clark has a way of entertaining the crowd with her daring drives to the hoop, her spectacular assists, and her stunning three-pointers. Every game feels like a must-watch event because of her on the court, captivating fans who tune in to see what she'll do next. The moment Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever was ousted from the playoffs by, according to the Connecticut Sun, the WNBA saw one of its biggest audience drops in its history. This particular game marked a sea change in the course of events. The playoffs had been attracting a respectable number of viewers up until that time, but after Clark's team was eliminated, the numbers started to dramatically decline. For supporters, the Indiana Fever's defeat meant more than just one team going out. It meant losing the opportunity to watch Caitlin Clark advance farther in the playoffs. Her performances were the main draw for fans to watch the playoffs, which had featured Clark as the star. After this game, there was an extraordinary decline in viewership. As the WNBA has been having some of its highest ratings in the postseason, but once Clark was injured, the figures precipitously declined. Without Clark, fans just weren't as interested in seeing the final games. This sharp decline in viewership demonstrated how much the league depends on its top players to pique fans' interest. Throughout the season, the WNBA has been gaining popularity as more people tuned in to watch the games. But that momentum came to an abrupt stop when Caitlin Clark was eliminated. With its biggest star out of the picture, the league had to find a way to keep fans interested, and the viewership figures showed how challenging that was. A'ja Wilson and Caitlin Clark's deaths had a terrible impact on WNBA viewing. Following the elimination of these two stars, the league's viewership fell by half. This is an unparalleled decline, indicating how crucial these players are to the league's accomplishments. The most anticipated games of the year are expected to be the WNBA Finals. The league anticipates its largest viewing during this time, as fans eagerly anticipate watching the top teams battle for the title. But the WNBA Final this year is probably going to be one of the least viewed in the league's history. Fans aren't as thrilled about the finals now that celebrities like Caitlin Clark are eliminated from contention.